Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us at our Monday, May 23rd board meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order, and I will ask for an approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Farnsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. And we're going to move on to the welcome and moment of reflection, and Ms. Wimberly has that tonight.
Yes, thank you. This is a super exciting week. It is a week of a lot of endings, which is a little scary and also a little bittersweet, but endings also bring new beginnings, and endings bring celebration of successes, and we certainly have many things here in DD2 to celebrate. So I would like to offer congratulations to all of our teachers and students for making it through this school year. Congratulations and thank you to all our retirees. And finally, congratulations to our graduates. What a huge honor and just amazing accomplishment for them. As I said, so many great successes to celebrate here in Dorchester District 2. And as we look back on this year, I encourage everyone to, as you consider the ups and downs, just think about successes and remember that success does not look the same for everyone. It comes in many different shapes and sizes. But I guarantee you that every single person in this school district has a success that is worthy of celebration. And along that note, I'm going to just share with you a short poem that has always really resonated with me. To have succeeded by Ralph Waldo Emerson. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Please join me in a moment of silence where we just consider and appreciate all the success stories we've had this year. Thank you. Now, if you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Wimberly. Okay, before we move on to our school highlights, I would just like to introduce to everyone tonight our newest person joining our school district, and we are so excited. I think we introduced a few weeks ago, we introduced Dr. Shane Robbins, and tonight I would like to introduce our Deputy Superintendent, and that would be Dr. Hafner. So if you would please welcome her. Thank you, Dr. Hafner. We're looking for really good things coming in the near future between our newest two team members and working together with the rest of our Dorchester District 2 team. So this is a really exciting time, and And Ms. Wimberly's message was quite fitting for this time that we're all going through and things that we're dealing with our retirement of Mr. Pye and wishing him all the successes in his upcoming future and then what we're going to be experiencing here in DD2. So anyway, lots of exciting things going on. So we're going to move on to our school highlights. And I think we have Ms. Passmore that's going to be handling those tonight.
Good evening, Chairman Hughes, Board of Trustees, and Mr. Pye. Tonight I have the privilege to highlight excellence, one of our core values in DD2, with the following school highlights. Computer coding is an invaluable skill that is greatly needed in today's marketplace and will continue to be in demand. To inspire future college and career options for our students, DD2 launched a new annual event for middle school students to compete in eSport Code Combat, a virtual coding competition. During the school year, students spent time learning to code prior to participation in a week-long competition where middle school students from across the district put their coding skills to the test. We would like to ask the parents of Chad Whiteman to please stand as Chad comes forward along with his teacher at Gregg Middle School, Christina Riley. Chad placed first place in the eSport Code Combat competition. Congratulations. At this time, I'd like to invite Ralph Hayes, Director of the Dorchester II Educational Foundation, to the podium for a special presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Passmore. Madam Chair Hughes, members of the board, Superintendent Pye. The foundation is very proud to be here tonight to discuss a partnership that we created this year that has been very impactful for our teachers and students across the entire district. We worked with Boeing over the last several months to determine what type of investment they could make to the district that would be universal and impactful across our entire district. And we were very thankful that what we came up with was for them to fund our innovation awards that we run through the schools. And when we spoke with Ms. Erin Fisher and Ms. Liva Holland from Boeing, we really wanted to make sure that it was something that was felt impactful across the entire district. So what we did was they graciously made a donation of $25,000, and we had teachers at all of the locations across the entire district write innovation award grants to talk about what they would use their $1,000 for to fuel innovation in their classroom. And we selected those winners a few weeks ago and had the opportunity to go out and present a few of those in person. And one of the things that I want to say that I'm most thankful for Boeing for is their time in this effort. We had numerous phone calls and email correspondences, and then actually going out to the programs and seeing the children and seeing the teachers and surprise announcing those. And it was quite apparent that, that our Boeing friends are very comfortable around children, which is good because the students that we have in our schools are definitely going to be the workforce of tomorrow. But if you want to flip to the next slide, Lee, if people just want to glance at that, this is a list of the awards that were awarded throughout the district. And as you see, they were just really unique things. We had one teacher who came up with having a talk show, and her students get to produce and run a talk show. We had one group who were doing math with archery. We had tons of robotics and other things, but we're just so thankful for them and just leading the way as a company who is investing in our community and in our schools to make sure that they understand that that they are making an impact for us every day. And I'd love to invite Libba and Aaron up here if they'd like to say anything for us.
Thank you, Ralph, and thank you, board. Thanks for having us here today. We're just delighted to partner with DD2 to help develop the next generation of talent. It's students like Chad who are really going to make a difference going forward. So we're delighted to partner in this way and look forward to seeing all these great innovation awards come to life. Thanks so much.
Awesome. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Miss Debbie Malinowski, who came in tonight. She was one of the recipients of the grant, and just having the teachers show that appreciation for our community partners really matters. So thank you to all the teachers in the district who wrote grants to be considered.
Three elementary schools in Dorchester School District 2 received the Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase Schools Award. Austin Bailey Elementary, Oak Brook Elementary, and Windsor Hill Arts Infused Elementary are among just 377 schools nationwide to earn the prestigious distinction. The honor highlights exceptional school teams for going the extra mile each day to successfully create a safe, welcoming environment that supports a high-quality education. Please join me in welcoming Vernisa Bodison from Austin Bailey Elementary School, Rachel Mahaffey from Oak Brook Elementary School, and Robert Nooner, Windsor Hill Arts Elementary School, as they come forward to be recognized for this award. And for our final highlight this evening, please welcome Amanda Santamaria, Director of Nursing Services, to the podium to present the Cindy Risch Pool Award.
Good evening, Chairwoman Hughes, Mr. Pye, and members of the board. I'm here this evening wearing a different hat than I normally do on behalf of the South Carolina Association of School Nurses. Each year, the South Carolina Association of School Nurses accepts nominations from across the state for the Cindy Risch Pool Award. This award, named for a former nurse administrator in the Richland area, aims to honor an individual whose contributions and accomplishments in the field of school health have made a positive impact on the lives of school-aged children and whose support of school nursing and school health services has been outstanding. This year, SCASN had many nominations from all across the state, but the winner was ultimately selected because they have been a champion for student and staff health and wellness, especially in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. They have prioritized the health and safety of students and staff and continue to recognize the importance of school nurses as key stakeholders in accomplishing that goal. As the president of the South Carolina Association of School Nurses, it is with great pleasure that I present the 2022 Cindy Risch Pool Award to Mr. Joseph Pye. SCASN appreciates your years of service as a teacher, an administrator, and superintendent. You truly recognize the link between a student's health and their success at school, and we are grateful for your continued support of school nurses.
When a superintendent has the nurses that we have in every school, our registered nurses, and we have the help that we've given them, and they're led by a person this fantastic, even they can cover up my mistakes. So I appreciate it.
Okay, next on the agenda is public comments on agenda items, and I have no public comments on agenda items, so we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Board members, in your packets, you should have received the regular meeting of May the 9th, 2022. I need a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Crosby. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Okay, next up is the superintendent's report, and that is the state of the district. Mr. Pye.
Yes, I'm going to follow up with Ms. Ashley with the comments that she made. This is a great time of the year for celebrations, and of course we have always had them, but the last couple of years it's not been quite to the magnitude that we're used to having, so I'm glad to say we're back, and we're doing a great job of recognizing students, teachers, administrators, our community members, all the people that make Team Dorchester what it is. And can't say enough about all those groups, but we had the Teacher of the Year is coming up Tuesday. We'll have that to recognize our top teachers that represent a cadre of fabulous teachers for our school district. And then we're going to have graduation Saturday at the Coliseum, and 3 high schools, a large number of kids graduating. And so I want to say congratulations to our graduates. And congratulations, teachers, for getting them through this awesome period in our history to make sure that we have a stellar group of kids. We understand we have a tremendous amount of scholarship offerings. Our kids are ready, and they're going to look really good. So thank you, students, for representing our district so well. And thank you, parents, for making sure your students did what they were supposed to do and followed the leads of the teachers. When we work as a team, we get great things. And then adult ed will be Wednesday evening, which is the last well, that's the last day for, it's going to be Friday. It's a half a day for students. So I want to remind people of that. So in case some folks out there have missed it because child care issues and what have you, we will be rolling those buses out. I just hope they all come for the half day they're coming, because it's awful tempting to say school's out and not come. But I know the little ones will come. They enjoy their teachers and their peers to the point that there'll be a lot of fun in our elementary schools. And so with that said, I want to move now to the Dorchester II Leadership Academy recognition. We do this when we've had a program. And like I said, the last couple of years we had a program, but it's been pretty low key as we've had to work around all the other issues we were faced with. So this time I'd like Patsy Pye to come forth and give you some history on our program. And I know she's going to tell you, but this is board inspired. We were ordered to do this by our board back yonder some years ago, and it's been nothing but success, as she'll tell you.
Good evening, Ms. Hughes and members of the board and Mr. Pye. In talking about celebrations, Ms. Wimberly, I think we are really having a great celebration tonight with our 7 interns that have completed the Leadership Academy this year. They have all done an excellent job in their schools and have been provided many great administrative experiences in working with their admin team, their teachers, students, and parents. They have been afforded the opportunity to experience all aspects of school administration. They have gained knowledge and experience by actually doing the job. I would like to thank their principal mentors for working with them and giving them great feedback and coaching. And I would also like to thank the district staff that has provided some great professional development with handouts and things that they can refer to when they move to the next level. The Leadership Academy was a board initiative in 2009. Members of the board, along with the superintendent, felt like that we should grow our own leaders, that we should actually take our master teachers and work with them and put them in a situation where they actually learn by doing. Well, they actually hired me to develop and create the Leadership Academy and then to implement it, which I have very much enjoyed doing over the years. It's been very rewarding. And over the years, the Leadership Academy has trained over 100 administrative interns. 99% of those have gone on to have AP jobs, principal jobs, and then even district office positions. So it has been very successful. And the feedback I get is that this program, this Leadership Academy, really prepared me to go to the next level. I feel like that I've been given support and I really have experienced all aspects of administration. So the feedback has been really good. It was also recognized by the National School Board and received one of the Magna Awards for the success of the program. At this time, I would like for our administrative interns to come forward. I think we have everybody here tonight, so if y'all will just come forward. I want to recognize and celebrate their success. They've all done an outstanding job, and I'm very, very proud of all of them. Melanie Shababa was at Pye Elementary. Melanie, will just come stand right over there. Lindsay Elementary. Saps Cord was at Somerville Elementary. Corey Brown was at Stan Elementary. Jenna Gallo was at Windsor Hill Elementary. Marie Harway was at Austin Bailey. Jackson was at Oak Brook Elementary. Congratulate and celebrate. They have worked very hard. I'm very proud of them, and they have been a valuable asset to their principals, their students, their teachers in every way possible. And I'm very proud of y'all. Melanie, I'm going to ask you to come and just give a few words about just some feedback on your experience. I think that would be nice for the board to hear some comments about what you've experienced this year.
I've prepared a speech, and I can actually reach this microphone, so that's cool. I was a little nervous. I looked at the podium. I'm like, am I going to need a stepping stool for that? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board members and Mr. Pye. I'm Melody Shabala, and this past year, I've been proudly serving as an intern at Joseph Pye Elementary School after teaching middle school for several years in CCSD. In short, someone took a random shot in the dark and they said, let's take that short little scrappy one. She looks like she needs a reality check. Anyway, honestly, I'm so blessed. Someone took a chance on me and allowed me into the Leadership Academy. It's truly been an incredible journey. But before I get into all that, I really want to start with a little story. So early on in the school year, Dr. Johnson, my AP, who will be my principal soon, whoop, whoop, all right, go Dr. Johnson, she was absent, and as we all know, when a team member is absent, something's going to go awry. And this was really early on in the school year, and sure enough, a kindergartner is having a meltdown. And again, I'm from middle school, so at this point, I have no idea how to calm this child down. This is totally uncharted territory for me, but it became a battle of wills at one point. Like, I wanted her to stop scream crying in my ear, but I also wanted her to learn that what you want and what you get are two different things. So this goes on for about 45 to 15 minutes. I'm losing this battle, by the way. And eventually she starts begging for a snack. I go, okay, maybe this will solve the problem. She's probably hangry anyway. So long story short, it doesn't solve the problem. Cheetos end up everywhere in the room, okay? And meanwhile, I'm frantically trying to clean up the Cheetos, and she's still scream crying in my ear, and I'm wondering, what decisions did I make to get me to this point in time? Later on that night, I'm cuddling with my husband on the couch, and he reaches into my back pocket, and in my vision comes his hand, and he's holding a oddly shaped orange object, and he says, "Why do you have a Cheeto in your pocket?" I still have no idea how that Cheeto got in my back pocket to this day, but I was the first of many moments where I kind of had that Dorothy in Wizard of Oz moment where I thought, I'm not in Kansas anymore, or I'm not in middle school anymore. And this was just one of hundreds of challenges and learning experience from this year. But I know we all feel very blessed for this opportunity. So with that, on behalf of all the interns from this year, from the past, and the ones that are yet to come, I want to say thank you. I think I can speak for everyone in saying that the internship has single-handedly changed us for good. I cannot emphasize enough how comforting it was to know that despite being in a new position entirely, a new level of education, and a whole new district, I had a team of people supporting me and cheering me on the whole time. The internship gave us the opportunity to build bonds and a support system with one another as we embarked on this crazy and wild new journey. And having Mrs. Pye in our corner, setting us up for success with professional development in various areas from finances, school law, risk management, and everything that the APs love to dump on their interns, textbooks. She set us up with these incredibly intelligent and knowledgeable district personnel so that we could learn everything there was to help us become excellent APs. That was truly priceless. So thank you, Mrs. Pye. Fun fact, by the way, I refer to those sessions as my Patsy Pie PDs or my triple PDs. That's just a side note, though. As we move forward in our careers, I know that the lessons we learned, every success we had, every mistake that we made, and every Cheeto we found in our back pocket played a role in us becoming excellent administrators and great leaders. So again, thank you for giving us this opportunity to make our dreams become a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to have the privilege of working with these wonderful people. Thank you.
Yes, I'm done. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Pye, and everything that you've done for us over the years with the Leadership Academy and all of the great leaders that you have produced to carry on the legacy that we have going on here in Dorchester, too. We really appreciate all of that, so thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda is our personnel report. And board members, in your packets, you should have received the resignations for the 21-22 school year. Does anybody have a problem with doing those in open session? Nope. Okay, I need a motion to approve those, please.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Ms. Robinson, seconded by Ms. Crosby. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Okay, next on the agenda is our financial report. Ms. Tina Meunier.
Good evening, Chairwoman Hughes, board members, and Mr. Pye. This evening, we'll be discussing our March 31st, 2022 financial reports. They were uploaded to your board packets. Hope you had a chance to look over them. The first section is the first form that we will be looking at is our balance sheet, again, for our general fund. Our assets at the end of March 2022 were at $63,888,849. We're a little higher than last year. As we know, we had an increase in our fund balance from last year, so we had additional cash, which you can see in our 2022 numbers versus our 2021 column that's on the right. The next section is our liabilities and fund balances, which together those total the assets. On the next page is our revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. Just wanted to point out that our local taxes are reflected as of March 31st at $50 million, but as of today through May, we have received $54 million, so we're much closer to our budgeted amount than is reflected there. The additional revenues, we're on target for our EFA, which this will be the last year that we'll see EFA revenues. Next year will be different with our state aid to classrooms. But of our total revenues of budgeted of $225,932,045, we're at 26% at $167 million. In our expenditure category, you can see that a couple of our items, we have some percentages. The ideal percentage when we get to this time of year is at 25%. However, the instruction side of the house is a little bit more than that just because we go through July and accrue it back into this current year. So we have a little bit of extra money showing in the instructional support line items. Something different that we have this year that we didn't have accrued last year was a transfer for our career specialists and our ROTC programs that are accounted for in our state revenue funds. At the end of March, our net change in fund balance was $14 million. The next report we'll look at is for our food service fund. At the end of March of 2022, we're in really good shape. It looks like we have a negative liability there, which is actually a positive because it's due from the general fund. We are at a positive of $3.7 million, which looks very different from the past. You see last year we were only at $500,000. So again, we've had more participation this year. We've had less expenditures with Sodexo, and we've really done very well this year with Sodexo. We thank them for their partnership. And on the next page, you can see the revenues, expenditures, and also the changes in fund balance, which for the meal reimbursements, we have a significant amount more this year for meal reimbursements. We had more participation. We did have in the next section, you can see the expenditures were higher, but that makes sense to go along with the additional revenues. But we're still very much positive at $2.6 million for just this year that we have recognized as revenues. The next set of reports we have are for our school activity fund balances, and I wanted to bring you up to date because these are reflective as of March, but the schools have been working hard and have been utilizing some of their funds because we knew that there were spring activities. So I definitely wanted to point out a couple of those that have been looking larger than normal. For Somerville High School, they have used some additional monies for their spring activities that you can subtract from their report. Through May, they have spent an additional $75,000, so that brings them back in line. For Fort Dorchester High School, again, their spring activities, we can decrease those numbers by $93,000. This is the timing difference because these reports are reflective as of March 31st. So when their spring activities are happening in April and May, those figures are coming down. So I just wanted to give you a more up-to-date amount. And then also for Ashley Ridge High, they have spent an additional $25,000. So those numbers have come down tremendously.
Share, particularly with the three high schools having such a large part of their budget, supposed to be encumbered monies, but we're talking about over $200,000 in March. I know we take up money for graduation, yearbooks, all those kinds of things, and field trips are at a minimum, so I know it's not that. We've
Those-
had this problem from time to time, but that seems awfully high. I guess I want to make sure that we are monitoring that closely and that we know why it's being held. I mean, is it really all encumbered or not?
Well, yes, sir, as I just said, I'm sorry, that during April and May, which is not reflected here, that's why I wanted to share with y'all, those additional funds have been spent and encumbered. There's an additional $93,000 that you can take off of that balance. So they're
Of each school or just one of them?
93 for Fort, 75 for Somerville High, and additional 25 for Ashley Ridge.
25.
So they're.
But still high, though.
They have
It's like
been.
150,000, one of them. That's after you run it through May. So what else would be still out there that they have to pay the money for?
They're making their plans they haven't been able to get some quotes for some items that they have been wanting to spend, so they're working on submitting a plan.
But there's estimated cost for some of the projects they're trying to do
Yes,
in
sir.
their school.
That's why I specifically wanted to bring those items up, because I know that was, those numbers look a little higher, but they have been working on spending those monies and working on getting those encumbrances.
I think the concern is the fact that we've got less than a week left to make sure that these monies impact the school year that those funds were set there for, to impact that school year. So I think that's why the questions and why the concerns are there, because at this point, we've still got, in one of them, we've got $150,000 that's still sitting out there, that there's no way that it will be able to impact this school year.
Some of those monies were raised prior to this school year, and they were carryover monies that they had because during COVID, they weren't able to utilize their funds for a couple of years. So we allowed them to carry over, so they had to carry over.
Tina, how were they able to raise money during COVID to have any excess to carry over?
Some of these were monies that were carried over because they weren't able to do anything in the prior 2 years. They were carried over monies.
Not necessarily raised monies, but they were just carryover monies.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah, it just wasn't
Okay.
raised.
Okay.
So we didn't want to take those monies away from them since they weren't able to utilize things over the past 2 years because of COVID. We'll keep working with them and get a plan, and I can explain to you a more detailed plan when they submit that to us. The other item for this evening that I wanted to go over with y'all was the 5-year general fund revenue and expenditure projections. We presented this for the first time last year, and this is our updated plan. I did upload this to your board packet, but I wanted to notate that I adjusted the local property taxes for the year-over-year projection since the county gave us their updated amounts. And then also for the aid to classrooms monies, that is, we really don't know what's going to happen with those state funds for next year. So this is basically just a good guesstimate. But before we go through this spreadsheet, I just wanted to kind of give you an update on where we are with our budget. After the board approved and adopted a balanced budget on May 5th, that was Thursday, May 5th, and we presented to County Council with an approved budget on May 9th, we received projected state revenues from the Senate on Friday night at 9:30. So those numbers came out, and we received an additional $2 million in projected revenues. So that was great. But don't celebrate too early, because the next week when we got the projected revenues from out of the House, when it went back to the House, those revenues were gone. So we're still, based on what came out of out of Columbia, we're still in good shape for what the board adopted as their balanced budget. So tomorrow the conference committee starts. They meet at 2 o'clock, and they'll start their deliberations. They're dealing with 4 bills about money, so hopefully the state budget will finish up and they can come to a compromise and we can move forward. But right now, as we stand, the board has adopted a balanced budget. One of the items that wasn't clear when we went to county council was regarding salaries. And so the board adopted for our teacher salary scale and for the admin scale to be increased by $1,000 in each cell. Each level of, each step, is incremented by an average of 2%. So that 2% is already built in. Unfortunately, the calculation that was made that someone presented to us was on a sliding scale. So they had said that we would be at a 9% increase, but that's not exactly accurate because we're only 2% in between the scales, in between the steps, but we'll have $1,000 added at board approved to each cell. So it will be an increase of $1,000.
Tina, will that be for?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask, so one of the councilmen that was correcting us was actually incorrect.
That was incorrect because he was trying to calculate. I spoke with him afterwards. I waited until after the meeting, and he was doing a sliding scale, adding the 1,000 and a 2%, and then going to the next one, adding another 1,000 and 2%. He was sliding it, but that's not the way our salary scale works.
So should we let the whole county council be aware of that, not just Mr. Friddle? In our defense, because it wasn't pleasant and it wasn't fair.
Absolutely. There's one more opportunity for their third reading is June 20th. I could go and during the public comment section, if you'd like, I could just explain how our teacher salary scale works, because I did speak with him afterwards and I spoke with Mr. Ward.
Just for the sake of everybody and being transparent, since he said it to everybody, I would greatly appreciate it. I know we're putting you on the spot, but it needs to be done. Because too many times that happens, and we are right. So I think it's time to correct that, and if you would do that, if that's okay, Madam Chair? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I will do that.
Tina, the only thing I was going to ask was, we're giving the teachers that. Are we going to do anything for the rest of the district personnel?
So teachers and the admin scale will each be increased by the $1,000 on each scale. And for all of our employees, the average of 2% step will be included in there for next year. They will move up on the step, which is an average of 2% increase based on their scales. So in this big document with all of these numbers, this is basically what we provide to you every month, but it just has a little bit more detail as far as our objects. The first section is our revenues, and that is really the detail that you do receive. The bottom section is our expenditures. And so you can see salaries and the benefits, and these items are rolled up into what we present to y'all as the in categories. So we have split out more for property services, which are repairs and maintenance. We have our communications and technology services for our Canty contract. We have for our SROs and security. So these are the detailed object groups of what we present to the county in our budget template every year. And so we just followed that same template and projected it out for 5 years. Adam and I have been working with our third-party vendor and the one that Dorchester County uses. So this is the report that they are happy with and they like. And so I'll send this to them after y'all have seen this.
Can I just ask quickly, Tina, on the percentage increase, is that given to us from that vendor, or is that something we input?
We actually created those as just assumptions that we are guessing at. I will say again, the local property taxes, that's a year-over-year increase, so that one's calculated based on our actual collections. We're guessing sort of at what the next set of monies will come from for the state. For salaries, that's a 2.5% increase, which is an average of a step every year. For health insurance, we didn't know that this year there would be an 18% increase in the employer contribution. So, but for normal years, it really only goes up by 1.5%.
Yeah, I think.
So those are internal
I was going to say, you're definitely throwing darts at a dartboard for a lot of these. For some of them, though, I think more of the fixed cost stuff, I guess you could go back historically and look for the percentages, right?
We do have, so for our, like, for SRO contracts, we know that we'll go up on that based on the CPI. They request that. Energy, there's a small increase in there because, energy costs will go up every year, so.
And then just looking out, again, I fully understand these are numbers well out in advance, but looking at the deficit that it shows, looking at 2025, any concern there?
Since we're best guessing with the state revenues, since it's really just a small number, 1.3 million, we could make that up in state revenues.
As well as the local revenues. From time to time, we see a lot of local revenue just show up.
Absolutely.
Got it. The only other question I did have, as far as man-hours that it takes for the finance office to generate this report, I would be curious to know, and you probably don't have that in front of you. I'd be curious to know what that looks like, the burden on your office for this report.
I can't tell you, it's countless, countless hours, but we do work with a third-party vendor. We're able to provide them with our budget report, and he actually has some spreadsheets that are set up, and they come into this format, so we're thankful for that because he's very good in Excel and pivot tables, and Adam can work with all of that, pull out the reports that we need.
Got it. Thank you.
So does it take into account like growth, number of students increasing, or?
I think part of our state revenue in lieu of taxes, that 2% would include some growth. We haven't projected out a certain dollar amount or a certain number of students. Again, with the new funding formula, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work with growth because it's now based on the number of teachers, right, the student-teacher ratio, and the cost of a teacher.
I'm just thinking because since county council, they are the ones who requested this, so I just am curious about how helpful it actually is because when I say that, I guess I mean, in other words, if we have more houses being built, more people moving into the area, does it take that into account at all in the expenditure?
We don't receive any local tax revenues from houses.
No, I'm talking about growth, student growth, like more students, having more
For the cost.
Students.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, yes.
Well,
the greater cost for us, I guess.
The funding formula takes into effect the teacher-to-student ratio. So if we grow students, then the ratio is going to change. So that's where the funding formula is going to pick up. So I think that's what you're asking, is how is that being shown in this report?
Yes.
With our forecasted percentage increase on the state revenues, I feel like it's showing there. That percentage increase. Does that make sense? Or it's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of numbers.
We've turned this same type sheet in before. This is what we've had in the past, and it was acceptable. It's what they wanted.
Yes, sir.
That may
the format
clarify
that
it, too.
they-
This is what they asked for.
Right.
And we asked for feedback, and that's what we got. We told them about the numbers as a moving target, and it's just so hard to project out. But we were told, do the best you can, so she does it. And I've told her that I guess then at some point we have to amend it, at least for them to see that this is what we put down for this year, and we can only do 1 year at a time, authentically maybe. So here's, after the budget's approved and we get the money from the state, then we go back to see how did that affect the next year that we are dealing with, and we just have to keep upping it as we add another year to the 5 year. To me, that would seem to make sense, at least for me it would.
Yes, sir. That's why we started with an actual, then the adopted, and then it will move 1 year every time.
But maybe I mean, is there a possibility that we could maybe add a column on there that just says projected growth? And then that way it shows that they don't have to guess at what the projected growth is. They can actually see the number there
For students or for dollars?
for students.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, just add what our projected growth is, because they need to know if we're going to grow a school a year because of the housings
Yes,
that they're
and I think-
approving, or what they're going to, what the projection is.
Absolutely. I think we included, I'll have to go back and look in our presentation to see if we included that.
I don't
we
remember
went-
it being in the presentation
Okay.
this last time, but
Okay.
maybe if that's added as a line item on this
Okay,
report,
certainly.
that the 5-year plan,
Yes, ma'am.
that way they can actually see it and they won't have to guess.
Mr. Pye, didn't you say that you had heard it was going to be projected about 10,000 new homes coming into town?
Now that number's grown to closer to 15. Pretty well out there, and I go 165 before we get to Ashley Ridge. A new neighborhood has nothing to do with homecoming, and they're going to be building all on both sides of the road. It's good about 1.5 miles or 2 miles more towards Ravenel on the same side on the right. And they have surveyors out there now surveying up a storm. Makes you wonder, what will that be? That's not Watson Hill. That's not homecoming. None of the neighborhoods we know about. So that could exceed the 1,500, the 15,000 they're looking at. Then there's also, I came really to this morning, I came back by Rollins Summers Road, and same thing. A whole section are being cleared, and it could be still part of East Edisto, I don't know, but massive clearing of land, and it's just all up and down the road, and this was farmland and woods, with pine trees. So they're going to now be houses, and all those children have to go somewhere.
It's going to be another Nexton.
Yes.
I think that just today we learned from part of that is the city of North Charleston's property. And I think originally there was a plan for 5,000 homes to go in there. And I think they have reduced that plan now to be 1,000. So
That's Watson Hill, right?
no, it's on further down, I think, from what
Down towards
Mayor something
Gardens,
65 and
Middleton.
yes.
I'm talking about the other six. I'm talking about not 61, over on actual 65.
65
going to
and
Ravenel.
it's 65 and 61 is the location
It's
that we
awful. All up and down there. See, Rollins and Sand Hill are on Summers Corners right there at the corner of all that. So all that's just.
But it's
personal
definitely not the Watson Hill one, because this is a brand-new subdivision
Right.
that's starting, and it's being developed by the city of North Charleston, so.
more.
I hope the county council, before they approve that development, that they get an agreement that we get a new school with it, or print land for it.
It's the city of North Charleston.
Well, North Charleston, but
Not-
we just need to try to get
It's the-
it's in Dorchester County,
The city of North Charleston has to be the one to negotiate that contract, though, because they're the
and
ones
it's in Dorchester
approving-
County though, right?
But they have to negotiate the contract, yes.
So I hope that they will include a school, area for a school.
Well,
I think too, though.
So as those houses come on and those students come on, that's when we would need to include hopefully some additional revenues from the state, which would reflect some additional expenditures. So I see what you're saying. So as those come on, that's when those
what
amounts
about
would increase.
the need for new schools?
That's not reflected in our operating. This is just for operating.
Just operating.
but they could see that. If they see those numbers increase, then they can see the need for the new school. So you're giving them what they need to just think about it a little bit and realize that we're going to be needing a new school, so.
And so to round all that out, I think the county right now, because they've got an ordinance, in theory, they have to come to us anytime they do a new development. But to Ms. Crosby's point, it may be worth visiting with our friends over at the city of North Charleston, the town of Somerville, because I don't believe they have any sort of ordinance that they have to tell us. It hasn't been that big of an issue because there has not been that much housing development in the city or the town. It could be, well, I'm not even say could be, it's worthwhile for us to approach them and say we need some sort of ordinance where they have to come to us for every single time they want to do a development, and we provide the letter, just like we provide to the county right now, saying this is the impact you are about to have on our school district.
Yeah, we actually had that conversation with the city of North Charleston today. And the city of North Charleston agreed that they would be willing to sit down to the table and come up with an ordinance such as that, because that's where I got the numbers from for the housing. It came from Mayor Summey. So that was discussed about how, could we sit down, could we have some type of an ordinance to see what the impact on our school district was going to be if they built these houses, and he agreed. And as a matter of fact, they're supposed to be contacting the district in that and setting those things up to get those ordinance in place.
Then when we see that timeline.
For Dorchester County, but do they do that for us?
No, ma'am.
They
Not
don't.
all the time.
They don't do that for us.
I haven't
Yeah, I
seen
mean, it's
anything.
definitely not 100%. They have an ordinance that they're supposed to.
Right. That's what I was asking. Are they following
Not
through
all the
on
time,
it?
they don't. No, ma'am.
And just to formalize, I think what you're saying, Ms. Hughes, I would like to see maybe a letter or something come from the board to those other entities to let them know this is now a major concern, and we need input in it. We need to have a seat at the table, so.
We can certainly do that. I mean, so is there any other questions for Ms. Meunier? Comments? Okay, I have a motion for Mr. Farnsworth to accept the financial information as presented for information. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Mitchum. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Meunier. Okay, next on the agenda is our facilities and construction report by Mr. Souls.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Pye. Tonight's update is very brief. It mainly covers East Edisto Middle School. It's lengthy in that there are a lot of activities going on that are concurrently going on, from paving, bridge building, roofing, painting, flooring, you name it, it's going on all at the same time. We had a great visit out there week before last. I hope everybody got to see how things were progressing, and just how amazing it is to go from clearing land this time last year to putting VCT on the floor today. And they should be finished with the gym floor by this afternoon too. So a lot of great stuff going on out there. We have a OSF above ceiling inspection for the hard ceilings tomorrow, and we have 2 mock-up rooms where we're putting in drop ceiling. Our friends from Columbia are going to be there with us tomorrow to give us a thumbs up, and we can continue on with putting in ceiling grids and finishing up what we have to do above the ceilings. Some important dates to remember: the total above ceiling during construction will be 2 days. June 20th and 24th is when they will come back, and we'll go over the entire school where the drop ceilings are, and we'll do the above ceiling inspections for the entire school there. And July 26th and 27th is when we have the OSF final inspection scheduled. So we are on track to have students in our school on the 15th of August. We're still on schedule for our completion August 8th. Very important date to remember. That's my birthday, so just keep that in mind. It'll be a great birthday present for me. The DO Annex back here at the gym, we've run into some financial concerns with the mechanical equipment, and we kind of pulled back, took a deep breath, and we are working with our mechanical engineers, mechanical contractors, the architect, and our general contractor to try to come to some solution where we get the same effect for less money. I mean, engineers, as engineers are, they sometimes tend to over-engineer, but we're trying to bring it back to reality, to something that we can afford to do, and something that comes a little bit closer to our budget number. So that's where we are with that. We are looking forward to next week to diving into our summer of 22 fun time schedule with a long list of needs, wants, and everything in between for our schools, and we have something on the list for everybody. And with that, that's about all I have for this evening. Have any questions?
Okay. Do we have any questions for Mr. Souls?
No, but stay right there, Tony.
Okay.
Stay right there. The Facilities Committee did meet on Thursday, May the 12th.
Barbara,
and
that's further down the road. That's further down on the agenda.
Excuse me, I thought that was what you wanted me to, go,
No.
goodbye.
Thank you.
I'll get you in a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Souls. Okay, next on the agenda is new business, and that's Ms. Radcliffe.
Good evening. I'm here this evening to ask for local board approval for an additional 4 levels of steel drums. And this way we can continue to offer additional sections at our high schools. Just to give you some background, the state issues what we call an activity coding manual, and that manual gives us all the state courses that we can offer in all the levels. Well, currently right now, the State Board of Ed only recognizes 1 level of steel drums. Well, a few years ago, we came and asked for local board approval for an additional few levels, level 2, 3, 4, and 5 for steel drums. Well, now at the high school level, with us being on 4x4 and our fine arts programs are on a true 4x4 and not so much an AB, I need to come back and ask for a few more levels of steel drums, which is really a good thing because our kids want to take additional levels of fine arts. So to give you some idea, we're looking at level 6, 7, 8, and 9. And the reason why, we know in 8th grade they can take steel drums and receive a level 1 credit. In the 9th grade, they can take level 2 and 3, first semester and second semester for 2 additional credits. In the 10th grade, they'd take level 4 and level 5 if they want to. In the 11th grade, they can take 6 and 7. And then in the 12th grade, they can take level 8 and 9. So that's why I'm asking for some additional local board approval levels. Now, the one thing to realize is our level 3 and above, level 3 to level 9, would follow the South Carolina honors frameworks, and they would receive honors weighting as well. So that just gives you just a little background and as to why we need some additional levels in our steel drums.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Radcliffe?
No,
Okay.
but I would like to make a motion to approve Ms. Radcliffe's request because anybody that can play steel drums is always welcome in anybody's home. I think it's wonderful.
We do too.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion from Ms. Robinson and a second from Mr. Guthrie. Any discussion? All in favor? 7 and 0. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you so
Radcliffe.
much.
Okay, next on the agendas are committee reports. Ms. Crosby.
Sorry about that a while ago. I thought I was next. On May the 12th, the Facilities Committee did meet. We compiled the top 3 choices. Each school was asked to give their top 3 choices of the most critical needs that they needed. And of course, we always put safety first. We did all of our walkthroughs in all the schools. Based on funding and prioritizing of needs, each school can expect to get at least 1 or 2 of their projects to begin this summer or later in the fall. Some projects that were requested will need to wait until further annual capital project money is received. Some of the larger construction type project requests may need to be added to a list of items for future potential referendum funding. Don't get scared when you hear that word. That'll be next year, right? 2 of the HAVC replacements that were in the ESSER report plan will begin with Mr. Souls seeking design specs that will be sent to the OSF for approval. 2 schools will cost approximately $7 million to do those units. Other projects that were required will cost an estimate of between $4 and $5 million. Capital project funds of $3.5 million have been encumbered, with the remaining to come from facilities and maintenance operating monies and one-time use monies realized in the budget. Mr. Souls, would you please give a brief on some of those? Not all of them, of course, but.
I think early on, we had the school send the top 3 to me. During the walkthrough process, everyone got a list of that top 3. And when we made our walkthroughs, there was a lot of stuff we had to get quotes on, everything from paving canopies. It was a massive list of stuff, about $3 million worth, $3.5 million worth. A lot of that stuff can be taken care of as a simple work order O&M process. It's just something quickly done. So some of the other projects, like the HVAC replacements, that's going to take engineering and the OSF process to get everything done. So that won't happen tomorrow. That's a kind of a drawn-out process, and especially for HVAC replacements. We know we can't get it done this summer, but we can have it engineered, bid out, and have everything, all the pieces and parts, hopefully next year this time. So when we have that half day on Friday, that afternoon, a contractor can come in and start work. So that's our hopes on that. We're doing a lot of sidewalk repair, awning work, repairing the floor at DeVos Middle School, some flooring replacements in the restrooms at Flowertown. That's an important need that they have. So that list is rather lengthy. Quite a bit of work went into it to put together all the pricing for everything. And so we feel that the most important stuff we get done this summer, and then we have the rest of the year to clean that list up, and then next year this time we'll be talking about another list, and then the cycle will continue. So that's where we are.
And Mr. Souls will be contacting the schools for further details and whatever can be done. But I want to commend Mr. Souls on the amount of work that they put into this. I mean, calling all these people to get quotes and whatever. And I appreciate you and your team.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, so the recommendation for from the Facilities Committee, we do not need a second on that. So anybody have any discussion?
Do we have the actual list anywhere? Can we get a copy of that?
Well, he's got the actual list. He's got the actual list. He gave you a small breakdown, for example, like the awning and sidewalk repairs and whatever. But Mr. Souls does have a breakdown on everything. But that's what I'm saying. We had it's going to run between $4 and $5 million, and we have about $3.5 million.
Okay, Mr. Souls, can you forward a copy of that list to all of the board members, please? That way everybody will have that copy. And I think he did give us a short list during his conversation and that. So if everybody's okay, so that we can go ahead and get this rolling, get this approved so they can get started on that, because obviously they'll need to start before the next board meeting. So.
He's already started.
Okay, so anyway, if I don't need a motion to approve this, but I need a vote now. Okay, so all in favor? 7-0. Thank you very much.
One quick thing, Mr. Souls. When that list is obviously now tonight, it'll be finalized, at least some type of priority. Can you make sure that each of the school sites get a copy of what it is we're expecting to do for them?
Yeah.
And then we can give them progress reports throughout the summer, or when school gets ready to open, about what happened if it didn't work out the way we thought it would, and like when perhaps it might work. I think they would appreciate that feedback.
Okay, and just in the future, just for future's sake, when it comes from a committee and we're approving something on the budget, we need to make sure that none of the work starts until it comes before the board and it's approved by the board. And then after it's approved by the board, then the work can begin to take place, unless it's something in the normal maintenance of our schools. That falls under a totally different budget. But if it's something under the capital projects, it needs to make sure that it comes
Ms.
to the
Gale,
board.
Ms. Hughes, what I was referring to, what I said they started on things, that was things actually from work orders that were.
Okay, so that's general maintenance, and
Yeah.
that's perfectly
Things from
fine.
work orders, but some of them that was their request on some of those three choices.
Okay, so that's fine. I just wanted to say on the
Yeah, we knew
capital
that.
project, which are things that we're approving and that the committee should
we
be
know it.
bringing to the board, those things we just need to make sure they get voted on before they start, as long as we're on the same page.
Right.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on then to public comments, and I have no public comments, but I do have a couple of things that I would like to share, and I'm going to begin with sharing. As everyone knows, we are having Mr. Pye's retirement celebration this coming Thursday, May 26th. And I want to let everyone know that it is almost a complete, I don't know if you want to call it a sellout because the tickets are free, but the tickets are almost all gone. We, as of, I think, about 4 o'clock this afternoon, we had 49 tickets left. So if there's anybody that has not gotten their tickets and you would like to get a ticket, you might want to get online now or in just a few minutes because those tickets are going to be gone, I'm sure, very soon. Also, I spoke last board meeting about some pictures that we had taken at our Teacher of the Year celebration, and there they are. Promised them for this board meeting, and they're up there now. So just a few of those that we had taken, and we were represented very well by our Teacher of the Year. And look how pretty she is on walking that red carpet. So, okay, we are going to then move on to an executive session that is needed for personnel matters regarding new hires and personnel matters regarding retirees. I need a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie, seconded by Mr. Farnsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. We will be returning after executive session for any action needed. Okay, I need a motion to go back into open session.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Mitchum. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Okay, do I have a motion on the floor?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the retiree information we are presented in executive session.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the retiree information as presented in executive session. Do I have a second? All right, motion made by Mr. Farnsworth, seconded by Ms. Wimberly. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn. Okay, do we have another motion from executive session?
Sorry, I make a motion that we accept the personnel recommendations as presented by Mr. Pye and his team.
Okay, I have a
Second.
motion made by Ms. Wimberly, seconded by Mr. Guthrie. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Now I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie, seconded by Ms. Wimberly. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great evening.